So, what are the different types of anti-androgens that are used in India, and what are their pros and cons?
One of the commonest anti-androgens which is used is obviously spironolactone, which is the most commonly used anti-androgens. It's cheap, it's effective, but again we have to monitor because there is chances of increasing potassium levels, which can be risky in certain patients. Secondly, it can cause a lowering of blood pressure. We need to monitor the blood pressures as well. And finally, it doesn't lower the testosterone level per se, because they mainly act as androgen blockers or testosterone blockers rather than lowering your testosterone levels. So obviously their effect is somewhat less than the leuprolide or the GnRH agonists compared to in terms of testosterone lowering. So that is one we have. Then we have cyproterone, but cyproterone we don't get it in the higher dose as is available in Europe. So generally it's used as a combination pill. So we generally do not use cyproterone that frequently in this situation for HR in persons with male to female gender dysphoria. So we go mainly for spironolactone. We also use finasteride as well, which is effective in some patients. It has less chance of hypotension or hyperkalemia, but it's again less effective to some extent. It has some role in terms of scalp hair growth. That's an advantage in some persons desiring that. And finally, probably the most effective, safe being leuprolide, the monthly or 3-monthly injections, which decrease the testosterone level. But again, they are injectable, which though can be injected by the patient subcutaneously, but they are most importantly very costly, significantly costly. So that is one of the main reasons why a lot of people cannot afford. That's the main reason.
And if a doctor is suggesting Leupride and a patient has financial constraints, can they discuss with the doctor?
Yeah, definitely. Before starting a Leupride, I always discuss with my patients that this is the cost of therapy, whether it is monthly or 3-monthly injections, and whether they will be able to afford it. If we have definitely patients who are unable to afford it, in such a scenario, we give the other options like spironolactone is the first option, which is reasonable and cheap and effective, and definitely with some amount of monitoring, which is obviously required. So that is what we give in most of our patients, and also the option of later on adding finasteride as an alternative.
And there's one more question. Leupride is cheap because you have to do it for 3 months. There are some other brands also that are 2 to 3K cheaper. Is there different brands in Leupride?
Yeah, there are several brands available in Leupride, and now you have even cheaper Leuprides as well, which are quite reasonable as well. And the 3-monthly Leuprides, which I generally prefer, is cheaper than the monthly Leupride.
And how much does it cost?
Now probably you have brands costing as less as 4,000-5,000 rupees for 3 months.